Hello everybody and welcome to Tousi TV, your global news channel. We have some breaking news coming from British politics. Today is a dark day in the United Kingdom as the Court of Appeal has ruled in favour of Keir Starmer's Labour government and have now overturned the original High Court decision, which was about the closure of the Migrant Hotel in Essex, in Epping. That has now been overturned. Of course, the hotel is now allowed to remain open for illegal migrants, and the Home Office have declared, and I literally at this point paraphrase but quote the Home Office lawyers, that the rights of illegal migrants, they call them asylum seekers, outweigh the concerns of the local people for their own safety. We're going to give you guys the latest update. We have a lot of statements. We have a lot of reaction to this. First, I'm going to give you guys the actual summary of what you might have missed. We're going to get your reaction live as usual. First things first, Lord Justice Bean has now granted the Home Secretary's application for permission to appeal and grants the Home Secretary the status of intervener. Lord Justice Bean said the Home Secretary has clear statutory duties to asylum seekers under the 1999 legislation. These include the duty to provide support to them and prevent destitution. Given these duties, in addition to her constitutional role relating to public safety, the Home Secretary is plainly directly affected. So essentially, the judge has decided that the Home Secretary's priority must be the well-being of the illegal migrants, rather than actually listen to the safety concerns of the local people. And we are just getting some more updates as well. We have a lot of reaction from the opposition as well. We will get to that, but I want to talk about the three judges who decided this and decided to hand down the judgment, because the justice system in this country, which was supposed to be not political, has become extremely party political, extremely biased. And we will talk about the identity, the names of the three judges as well. First things first, these three judges have ruled that Mr. Justice Ayer made a number of errors. This is the High Court judge that initially put the injunction on the Migrant Hotel. Made a number of errors when granting the temporary injunction. Lord Justice Bean said, "We conclude that the judge made a number of mistakes which undermines his decision." I quote, "The judge's approach ignores the obvious consequence that the closure of one site means the capacity needs to be identified elsewhere in the system." He added that such an injunction may incentivize other councils to take similar steps as Epping. Hang on. So this is the most important part of this judgment. A senior judge in the United Kingdom, instead of actually going with what is technically the legal side of this, the technical legal issue around Migrant Hotel, this specific Migrant Hotel, he's decided to go with his political emotions, saying, essentially taking the government side rather than being partial. He has said one of the problems with this ruling from the High Court initially to shut down this hotel, there is a problem, guys, because that means other local authorities, other councils could do the exact same thing and close their migrant hotels. It is none of your business as a judge. Obviously, they're going to use technicality, saying, well, of course, we have to see what the consequences are going to be. No, you are supposed to be handing down judgment on one migrant hotel. The rest of the consequences, nothing to do with you. That's a political problem. And that's the government's problem, not the judiciary. It's none of your business whether we are going to have enough capacity for illegal migrants in other hotels or any other accommodation. That's the reality of the situation. And we have to be honest that the judge was extremely politically biased. Now they're going to use their legal force. Of course they're going to do that. Now we have to talk about the identity of these judges. We have to talk about their background just briefly before we give you guys the reaction from the opposition. First things first, let's start with Justice Bean himself on the left. He once edited a far left manifesto for the Society of Labour Lawyers, as in the Labour Party. He was part of the Labour Party Lawyers Society and wrote extremely left-wing nonsense. He's supposed to be an impartial judge. In the middle, Justice Nicola Davis. She is an openly Labour voting supporter and a political left-wing feminist, radical feminist. Open about it. On the right-hand side, Justice Cobb, who wanted to overturn the 2016 EU referendum. He campaigned very hard as someone who's supposed to be impartial in defense and in support of the European Union ruling over the sovereignty of this kingdom. These three extremely politically left-wing biased judges apparently were supposed to be the impartial referees today. Now, don't tell me that the system is not corrupt right now. Imagine if this were the other way around. If you had three judges who were openly members of the Tory party or Reform UK and campaigned for Brexit, for example, or for anything else that was more right-leaning, you do realise the outrage from every side. Downing Street, the Prime Minister, the legacy media, BBC, Sky News, all of them, and the whole of the civil service. If this were the other way around, they would have said, well, no, we can't. We now have to reform the justice system because it's becoming political. That would have been the moment they would have felt the urgency to identify that the justice system has become political. I do not want my judges to, instead of being like this, to be openly conservative. That would also be corrupt. You don't want that. I don't want a judge that have been campaigning for political causes openly. That would completely undermine the British judiciary. It gets worse. As I said, the Home Office lawyers openly said, this is their argument in court today, that the rights of the so-called asylum seekers, illegal migrants, are more important, outweigh the safety concerns of local people. This was also mentioned by Nick Ferrari. Let's go.
A government department putting forward the idea that the need to meet the human rights of asylum seekers by housing them in hotels outweighs the safety concerns of local families.
Yep, that's directly from the mouth of the Home Office under the Labour government. Now, this initial injunction that was put in place by the High Court a couple of weeks ago would have seen 138 illegal migrants moved from the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex by the 12th of September. Now that's not happening. The hotel will remain open. The government will go and present their official appeal. They are likely to win that as well. And we are back to square one. The reason they did this, the justice system and the government, because at this point they are connected, they are linked, and they're not supposed to. They did this to stop the other local councils from taking legal action. Because after the original injunction by the High Court, we had a number of local authorities deciding to start taking legal actions to do the exact same thing. They did this to stop them from doing it. Now, of course, there's a lot of people who are saying, don't stop, keep trying, keep fighting for this. Keep overwhelming the system until something comes out of this. We have some political reaction from the opposition. Let's first go to the former immigration minister who resigned from the previous government because he realized that the government and the civil service are not doing anything to help the migration crisis. This is Robert Jenrick, who has now said that this is an extremely disappointing decision. Yvette Cooper used taxpayer money, your money, to keep open a hotel housing illegal migrants. The government's lawyers argued accommodating illegal migrants was in the national interest. In court, they said that the right of illegal migrants to free hotels is more important than the rights of the British people. He went on to say, well, they are not. The British government should always put the interests of the British people first. Starmer's government has shown itself to be on the side of illegal migrants who have broken into our country. But this is not a free pass for asylum hotels. Councils can and should still act to close hotels. If they don't, residents will rightly ask, on whose side are they? If he finished by saying that my team and the lawyers for borders will continue to provide legal assistance to help protect communities. There is no acceptable accommodation for illegal migrants. The government should be prioritizing Brits in need and deporting every illegal migrant, as the last government should have done, and I've argued for years. And that was one of the reasons that Robert Jenrick resigned and didn't want to be associated with the Tory governments, because he saw firsthand in the Home Office that nobody's listening. And the Prime Minister was clearly not listening. So he said, well, I can't really help anymore. So I'm not going to be essentially accessory to this chaos that is being caused by his party and the civil service at that time. Rupert Lowe has also reacted, saying the Home Office wins its Epping appeal, a government against its own people. He said, no more appeals, court cases or debates. We must deport the illegal migrants, not some of them, like how Reform UK is saying, not most of them, all of them. That is true. All of them. Doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, or a child. Anybody who's come to the country illegally must go. It's simple. Doesn't matter how long you've stayed here. If you entered the country illegally, you must go. The leader of Advance UK has also said, Ben Habib, that he says he wants to shut illegal migrant hotels, but Keir Starmer fights tooth and nail to keep them open. Against the wishes of local residents and the local authority, the Epping Hotel will now stay open. So much for democracy and the security of British citizens. Illegal migrants are more important to Starmer, the government in contempt of the people again. Now that was Advance UK leader. We also have just received a reaction from the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage, who has said that the government has used ECHR against the people of Epping. Illegal migrants have more rights than the British people under Starmer. That is the whole statement reaction from Nigel Farage. We do have a longer reaction from the leader of the Tory party, Kemi Badenoch. Kemi has said, local communities should not pay the price for Labour's total failure on illegal immigration. Keir Starmer has shown that he puts the rights of illegal migrants above the rights of British people who just want to feel safe in their own towns and communities. This ruling is a setback, but it is not the end. I say to Conservative councils seeking similar injunctions against asylum hotels, keep going. Every case has different circumstances, and I know good Conservative councils will keep fighting for residents, so we will keep working with them every step of the way. We will be writing to all Conservative councillors with further advice following this judgment and setting out our open offer to work with councils and communities to take action. We will also continue to work closely with Epping Council as they consider their next steps. The public can see exactly who is fighting to keep these hotels open. It's Labour. Keir Starmer scrapped the Rwanda removal plan, promised to smash the gangs, yet illegal crossings are the highest they have ever been. Labour have run out of options, so the only answer left is to dump the problem on local communities. The fact remains that asylum hotels are a choice. The Conservative government halved the number of migrant hotels and had closed down many, including the Bell Hotel in Epping, which Labour then reopened. The Conservatives were expanding detention centres while halving the number of hotels because we had a plan for the removal of illegal arrivals. Instead of going to court to keep asylum hotels open or housing illegal immigrants in private rented accommodation, Keir Starmer should increase detention capacity immediately. Only the Conservatives have a thorough plan to expand detention, remove every illegal arrival, and end the asylum hotel scourge once and for all. No ifs, no buts. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservatives. So that's the most of the opposition at this point. Of course, the Liberal Democrats are celebrating, the Green Party are celebrating, but they want to go further to create more safeguarding for the illegal immigrants over the British people. It's a bit of a crisis, and as I'm hearing right now, people are getting ready to go towards the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex, as we speak, as we are expecting a major protest, not just outside that hotel, but outside the other migrant hotels across the country. This chaos will not be addressed by the government, clearly, and they seem to be wanting some sort of political suicide. If they want to do that, then it's up to them, of course. So now let's get to, I don't know what's happened here. Let's get some quick reaction. There we go, fixed that. Reaction from you guys in the live chats. First one says, we are all run by a massive bunch of bacons. Another reaction says, send them all back to France. Of course, Starmer is not going to do that because that would mean that he will have to sacrifice his friendship with Keir Starmer. It's a very, very close relationship. Labour are pushing the people, and I fear it is only a matter of time before we all snap, going to the protest at Chichester Park Hotel later today. Yes, and we are planning to also have people around as Tousi TV reporters outside the migrant hotels as well. And of course, this channel will give you guys the live coverage on everything that's happening around the country. Let's get some non-super chats quickly. So we have civil servants who are not serving us. Time to get them out and replace them with those who will serve us. So the thing is, the civil service part, that's just one tiny issue. We now have a bigger problem because you already had the civil servants, even under the Tory government, who were basically not following orders and they were just doing their own nonsense. Then you have the actual government side, that's the Labour Party in power. I'm not surprised that they're not on the side of the British people because politically speaking, they are left-leaning. Of course, they will be taking the asylum seekers' side. But you now also have a bigger problem because the justice system, which is now slowly being exposed, not necessarily in terms of, a lot of you guys would have already realized that the overall justice system is a little bit messed up, but it's becoming slowly exposed one by one, name by name. All these so-called senior judges for not being actually impartial, for being extremely political. This is one of the most important campaigns that must be continued, and there are some good people, including great barristers like Stephen Barrett, who are working hard on this, because civil service has a whole different battle. The government, that's more of a democratic battle. You have to have campaigns, political parties, win elections, get them out. That's different. The justice system needs to be named and shamed. That's a whole different, on a whole different level. Every single person who can do their own research, find out more information, as we have exposed the 3 judges, senior judges today, find out who they are, expose their bias, and for people to be informed, because people need to know who are the people at the top making decisions on behalf of the British public. The English auditor, thank you for your super chat, says, I made myself intentionally homeless moving from Sunderland to Great Yarmouth 6 years ago. But these lot can get on a boat and get put up in hotels. What about the English people sleeping on the street? I've also mentioned this story. We tried to do something about a couple of years ago, which was, it was supposed to be essentially a stunt, but to expose something. I was supposed to go to Calais in France to secretly film the people smugglers. And then the idea I had with the team was for me to pretend to be an illegal migrant and secretly film the journey on a small boat from France to Dover. For safety reasons and legal reasons, we did get in touch with the Home Office at the time saying, okay, so this is what we're going to do. That means that I will be coming back to the country without crossing the border legally. But I will have my British passport in my pocket. So obviously when the border force comes, I can say I'm doing reporting, investigative reporting, and here's my passport, let me go through. The Home Office said, we will arrest you. And I said, even though I have a passport? I said, yes. So I said, okay, so what will happen if I basically pretend I don't have a passport and I'm just an illegal migrant for a few minutes? I'll come in, and then once you are going to be sending everybody to hotels, I could just get a taxi, go home. They basically didn't directly say, but they said, yeah. So I could have just basically pretended to be an illegal migrant, go to a hotel, get free food, free dinner, and then just get out, get a taxi, go back home. If I showed my actual passport, I would be arrested. So the system is built to promote and encourage illegality. That's it. Kevin says, when will the British military step up and save the country? The Parliament, police and courts have failed. Well, of course, the army and the armed forces are under the command of the Prime Minister. Now, technically, the armed forces are serving the crown. It should be to serve the king, but they, practically speaking, they serve the Prime Minister, which is really weird. And yeah, I know the Prime Minister will never deploy the army because the Prime Minister is not like President Trump, doesn't care. Maureen says, the lions are awake, don't give in to their bait. Yes, but the fight will continue because these guys want people to just give up. That's it. That's what they're doing. Literally, the judge said that. That was the point of it. I need to get some reaction from the members of Tousi TV Plus. If we could get this sorted for you guys. Some issues with this. Hang on. Do we have the... Okay. Let's quickly go. So, struggling here. There we go. Okay. What do we have? Mandy, these are the Tousi TV Plus members. Of course, you can also join Tousi TV Plus right here. Use the QR code or go on tousi.tv for complete access to the channel. Mandy says, this is disgusting, but no surprise. Yep. Papa Pork says, this could cause a huge kickoff. Well, it's beyond that, which is kind of ironic because the government, well, the court said, the Court of Appeal said, we are doing this because otherwise it will encourage other local councils democratically and legally take action. So they're more worried about democratic and legal actions than what, potential riots? You see what they're doing here, right? They are basically implying we are fine with riots if riots happen because we're prepared, because it's exactly what they want. So they could do more crackdown. So they could use that, saying, well, now in the name of national security, we have a bunch of far-right enemy. Now we're going to have more restrictions on British people, on free speech and on your rights. That's why they don't really care about protests and riots. They care more about local councils taking legal action. Well, apparently that's more problematic than people rioting, potentially. definition of treason: the betrayal of allegiance towards one's own country, especially by committing hostile acts against it or aiding its enemies in committing such acts. The betrayal of someone's trust or confidence. That's literally what the government is doing. The offence of attempting to overthrow the government, well, that's not what they're doing because they're in government, to which the offender owes allegiance, or of betraying the state into the hands of a foreign power. Disloyalty, treachery. Yeah, the last bit is also what the government is doing. V6 says this is like throwing a full petrol can onto a bonfire. If they thought it was bad that the British public were against them before, the backlash they expected with the new mass casualty contracts on the 18th August. They are traitors, plain and simple. Feels bad now, but what goes around comes around. They will see a day when all they are doing bites them in the ass. Yeah, so I think one of the lack of urgency from left-wing parties like the Labour Party in power is that they don't really mind much about the political consequences, because at the end of the day, they are still in charge, because they control all aspects of the establishment. Even if, for example, Keir Starmer leaves as Prime Minister, the rest of civil service and all the others are still controlled by Labour-leaning people. That's why they don't care about the political consequences. Marmite has posted a meme saying this is fine. How Starmer handles the tinderbox. That is the UK. I love how there's a Tousi TV Plus on the logo on the top corner as well. Thanks. What is the point of paying taxes at this point, as they are only spent on foreigners, not the British people? It's like paying a Netflix subscription for the squatter living in a house next door and not getting to use it yourself. So the thing is, the issue isn't just that they're using the money on foreign nationals instead of for the British public. They're also using the money on more government powers over your lives, more restrictions and everything. But essentially, they're spending it on tyranny. That is also a whole different level of betrayal, as well as obviously spending money on the foreigners who come into the country and the foreigners who are not even coming into the country in the name of foreign aid. We are still giving so much money to Pakistan, which is not even a real country, it's an acronym, and all the others, than actually looking after the people in the kingdom. This Pierce says judges are infuriating in the US. Obama judges are constantly getting in the way and gumming up the works. They are not impartial. They don't rule by the law, but by the left side. They don't even have that power, but somehow they keep winning. So that's the thing. I mean, there's still a big difference in terms of the American system and the British system. The British system is not even supposed to be political appointees. You're not even supposed to be having that. It's supposed to be completely independent. Now in the US, because of the Constitution, you have separation of powers, but you still basically have judges who are political, but the Constitution works overall. In this country, we don't even have that. You cannot have any judge to openly be in favor of Reform UK or the Lib Dems or the Tories or Labour. You can't have that. It just completely undermines the British Constitution. But that's happening now, only from one side. Pork says that this is making our country a laughingstock on the world stage. Yeah, to be fair, that happened a while ago. It's just making it even worse. Yeah. Just walked in from work to this. What the actual F? This is beyond a joke. Starmer is a traitor. Yeah, but I don't think he minds being called a traitor. That's the reality. Because he's still protected. Now you know that Labour care more about the boat filth than its citizens. Boats get so filthy. Vinny says, stop with the long posts. They won't all get read out. Yeah, depends how long, really, but yeah. Neil says that we need for treason charges to be brought against the current regime. Thing is, Tony Blair has removed the treason powers that we had. He did it in the early 2000s. Or was it early 2000s, late 90s? When he was during his first term, he basically got rid of all that. We still have powers constitutionally, but not like that. Change comes at the barrel of a gun, says Sir Alan. Nick says that is one bean that needs flicking. Corrupt judges. I don't know why I read that in a sexual way, but okay, thanks for that. Scott says, why do you think George, well, Soros, we don't know which Soros, George or Alex, I'm assuming you're talking about George, who's less active now than his son. Soros puts so much money into getting judges elected. With socialism, you don't even need to pay. They are embedded and corrupt. With socialism, you don't even need to be elected. That's the thing. So people like, because obviously what Scott is talking about was what George Soros started decades ago. Right now, his son, Alex Soros, who's now in charge, compared to his dad, where his dad is still in the background, Alex is doing other things because the empire has already been built by his father. The empire that was to have direct influence on governments all around the world, in most countries. They did this a while ago, making sure that political appointees are happening in his favor. Judges, he did the exact same thing with the NGOs, he did the exact same thing with councils, human rights councils, and of course on a local level, important jurisdictions being controlled by these guys to make sure his people are being chosen to make things easier in the future, so that when they have to make any sort of decision, all you have to do is just send a very simple, basic lobbyist to go and have a conversation saying, okay, all I have to do is just talk to the person that we've already appointed. Can we have this done? Can we have that done? And then everything is fine. This is what these guys have been doing for ages. Which was funny, because until a few years ago, it would have been a conspiracy theory. Now, obviously, the establishment have confirmed it, and they're kind of open about it. They're like, yeah, it's normal. It's called international diplomacy. Apparently, it's not. And when, for example, Elon Musk expresses opinions about situation, I don't know, in Germany with the AFD or in the UK with the Labour government, they say, well, it's foreign interference. We have an American citizen expressing opinions on things in the UK. He's not allowed to, but all the others can do whatever they want. Bill Gates could do whatever he wants. Right now, Tony Blair has gone to the White House to get himself into the peace process in the Middle East. Nothing to do with you. Go away. After he left as Prime Minister, he became the envoy for the peace in the Middle East in the late 2000s. He was supposed to basically creating peace between Israel and the Islamic side. Well, that failed. I mean, who was ever going to be listening to Tony Blair? Especially the Islamic side, after what he did in Iraq and Afghanistan. Do you really think they would have said, well, it's Mr. Blair, we're going to have to talk to him now? No, they don't care. But when Blair goes to America to intervene, when Bill Gates could come into Downing Street whenever he wants and knock on the door of number 10, when George Soros and now Alex Soros could just get involved with everything else, well, it's insane. It's crazy. The hotel is now open, and we have idiots in the live chat who don't understand basic law in this country. This one, LFI 8872. That's child abuse when your parents choose this name for you when you're born. This person's name is LFI 8872. That's a terrible name for a child. Saying bait title, I think it means clickbait. They won the right to appeal. That's literally what we were saying. The government has won in the Court of Appeal, and the hotel, as it says in the thumbnail, can now stay open, darling. Now go and change your name. All right. What else do we have from some normal humans in the live chat? Why can't Reform appeal the decision? So that's what's going to happen now in October, right? October is going to be the date. The problem is that the initial injunction has now been overturned, which means the hotel was supposed to be closed. It's now going to be open. Now we go to the Court of Appeal for the official big fight. In the meantime, as the opposition have been saying, local councils continue the fight. Don't give up. There's no point in giving up. Just keep going because there's still a bit of a chance that each circumstance, as Kemi Badenoch said, each circumstances in each local authority will be different with their hotels, and you have to ensure that you get your cases heard by the High Court. Notice says that it seems at this point that the government actually wants a total civil unrest to enact sweeping curbs your individual freedoms. This is snowballing. This is why the judge didn't really care about that. The judge really cared about other councils, but didn't really care much about potential protests or riots. You would think they should be worried about that. If he wants to be political, right, you would think that he should also consider the reaction on the streets, but no. As I said, over the next couple of hours, we are going to have a lot of people marching towards the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex for a protest. We're also going to have more protests outside the other migrant hotels across the country. And of course, Tousi TV will try our best to also give you guys a live coverage on this channel today about what is happening on our streets. Make sure to become a member of Tousi TV Plus to get complete access to the channel and everything that we have. We have, I believe, published the latest 2 episodes of our podcast, which you can watch on Tousi.tv, or obviously download the Tousi TV app, the home of geopolitical news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.